So Quiet on the Set is about to interview Kameron Corvet. He's an acoustic guitar player who also sings. We had the privilege of interviewing him, well, not interviewing him, listening to his music while he was here in D.C. So we're about to do a telephone interview. So, got a chance to listen to you, and man, I tell you, I mean, you're bad.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I mean, your music, I've been reading your bio, and so that you read that you were from Cincinnati by the way of Baton Rouge. So, you're born in Cincinnati, Ohio, by the way of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, as your bio says. So tell me, how was it growing up, and how did you get started with music?
It was interesting because music was kind of always around me, but it wasn't until I got to be around 9 or 10 that I knew music was even more a part of my life than I thought before. Once we moved to Ohio, I got to grow up around my mom's side of the family, and everybody in her family either plays an instrument or sings. So once I got around them, I really felt like I had some people around me to kind of mentor my talent. So growing up in a musical family primarily had to do with being in and around church, and then other than that, my musical influences came from listening to the radio or those types of things.
So how do you classify your genre of music? What class do you put your genre in?
When it comes to genre, I would consider what I do alternative R&B.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got a root in R&B and soul music, mainly because of the vocals, but at the same time I'm a guitar player, through and through. So there is that ability for the musical side of things to have a bit of an edge. So it's not straight ahead R&B, but there is something that an R&B music lover can appreciate about it. But there's also something that the music lover who's used to hearing music with guitars in there as an undertone can appreciate as well.
Oh, okay. Now, who is your favorite guitar player?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Do you have many?
I do have quite a few, but I'm gonna have to go with Jimi Hendrix first. I have to.
And why?
He's just set so many standards. I mean, it's hard to realize how many different things he was a pioneer in guitar-wise, but just what he did with the electric guitar and all the different uses of sound that he was able to kind of create kind of by hand, just change so many things and kind of turn the rock world on its ear. So he's probably the biggest guitar influence of mine, that I would give those types of props to, with Prince and Lenny Kravitz coming a close second and third.
Mm-hmm. Now, besides the guitar players, what about vocalists? What music did you follow when you were listening and cultivating your voice and grooming your voice to sing?
Definitely artists like Stokely from The Condition, Terrence Trent D'Arby, D'Angelo, Maxwell. Those are probably the top. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Vocally, though, Donny Hathaway and Marvin Gaye, of course, are the classics as well. But those earlier names, probably even more so.
Even though you follow those artists, those known artists, you have a style and a sound of your own, which is really good, because then nobody can say, well, he's trying to replicate or emulate someone. You have a definite sound of your own, and that's really good, and I think that you'll go far. In 2006, you released your first independent album. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. It's called Saying Things, and it was just my first effort at trying to put a complete body of work together. really a labor of love in the sense that I didn't have a lot of people that I worked with on it. A lot of it I created on my own. But I did work with some very talented musicians who were kind of role models for me at the time in the local scene in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And, I just put it together in order to try to get myself out there and have a product that can help me get some more shows. And it's exactly what it did.
So let's roll the tape back now. By reading your bio, you said you used to sneak into open mics. And when you snuck in open mics, what was the feeling then, and what were you trying to get at that point?
Well, I felt like Atlanta had opportunities out here, but not necessarily opportunities that I felt matched where I was talent-wise in terms of maturity. So I had to break a couple of rules and figure out how I could get access to some of these venues that I felt like had the opportunities that suited someone of my caliber or my talent level. Mm-hmm. And, so I would go into places that had open mics, all throughout the city, and most of them would be 21 and up, and I wasn't there yet. So I had to just kind of figure out a way around it.
Now, were you able to perform when you snuck in?
Yep, that was a part of it, definitely. I don't know if I ever got in any of these places and didn't actually end up being able to perform. So, yeah, all the times that I got in, I got to share. I usually would get there extremely early so that I could make sure that I had an opportunity to sign up on the list or whatnot. But yeah, I went.
So you went to Morehouse College. Did you study music at Morehouse, or what did you study at Morehouse?
I actually started out studying business, but French was my minor at the time. Mm-hmm. I ended up turning that around and becoming a French major, mm-hmm. and a business minor. And the idea behind the French major was just studying a subject that I felt like could make me a better writer, or could influence me positively as a musician and as a musical person, and French was just always that thing that kind of made me interested. So reading a lot of the novels and trying to dissect movies that would be shown to us in class in French was always a fun part of it, and I just kind of took it and adapted it to the music. Mm-hmm.
Well, you sure have a knack of freestyling, because you turned that Afro song into you could tape that, you can record that now. You can write it and record it. So that was like really brilliant. And it sounded like a song, like, that you did it before. So that was great. I really enjoyed that one, the freestyle.
Caressing your afro, here I go with first base, babe. And then I just might try to go to second, but who knows? I wanna touch you there and feel every single product that you put in your hair.
So you also had the opportunity to perform with other artists such as Freddie Jackson, Angie Stone, Avery Sunshine, amongst others. And what was that experience like?
It was a great experience. Freddie Jackson, obviously, he's a legend, so that was a humbling experience. But to be around other people like Angie Stone and some of the other artists that I've had a chance to work with, it was humbling, but at the same time, it was very motivational, because I felt like working with them was some sort of an acknowledgement to the talent that I had, and it made me feel as though I was headed in the right direction and that I made the right choice by pursuing music. Mm-hmm.
Now you've written for them as well, right?
Correct.
And by your bio, saying you had opened up for a number of other artists like Adele and Marsha Ambrose and Bilal and Dwele and Tamia. So you've been on your grind.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the independent grind has always been a part of every major label artist's journey, but it's been separated now from, the journey that a major label artist should, I feel like, go through, because there's a lot you learn by performing and opening for people and not being, catered to and not having the red carpet rolled out for you. You learn a lot of things about earning your way and paying your dues in the music industry. So a lot of times, there are, you can have a situation where an artist today just instantly is, they do one song and all of a sudden they're expected to be a professional and performing, and that just doesn't happen overnight. So I think that's one thing that's caused the music industry to have a little bit of a lag in the recorded music and the performance, because they just haven't. You still become a great performer by doing it a lot, just like anybody else, or like anything else. So, I feel like that's a part of the journey that a lot of people are missing out on. But fortunately enough for me, all these opening opportunities gave me that chance to kind of get seasoned.
Yeah, but on the flip side of the commercial and the mainstream music, there's a lot of talented people such as yourself that really don't get discovered or has a hard time. And y'all have a plethora of talent. And I noticed by doing interviews with a number of different up-and-coming artists, you guys sound like you should be out there along with the big boys. And I think the music industry kind of shortchange themselves when they don't look at the independent artists as seriously as they should. Because I've heard people, just by going on interviews and going to shows and I hear voices like, man, these people need to be known, So on the flip side of that, they need to take further looks, look into these independent artists such as yourself. I think you guys are brilliant and has a gift. In regards to writing songs for known people, what songs have you wrote for some of these people, some of these other artists that you mentioned in your bio?
I've written Freddie Jackson's last single, Love and Satisfaction. I was a writer on that record. Angie Stone, the album before this most recent album that came out, I wrote a record for her called First Time. And Slum Village, their last album, I did a record for them. So it's just, it's been an interesting thing, like being a songwriter, the rite of passages, you try to make sure you can get on the album first. So, just getting a song on the album is a success, but then you want to make sure you get singles, because those are the crowning glory of being a songwriter in this music industry. So things in that regard are always improving, and the more that I continue to do my own music, the more opportunities I get as a songwriter to show what I'm really made of.
Right, exactly. But tell me about your the 2014 EP, the Darker Than Gray. That's the one that you had at the show that you did in DC. Tell me about the experience by collaborating and doing that project.
The project was an interesting situation because I was going through personally a relationship in which I felt like I shouldn't be. I want to say the word pining, but I shouldn't have been in my feelings over that relationship breaking up, because it never was meant to be one in the first place. I made it into that because of the access. We just happened to be around each other a whole lot, and all of a sudden we were in a relationship, but it really shouldn't have been that way. So Darker Than Gray was meant to kind of highlight that journey. When you have a relationship that is really for a purpose and not necessarily for love. It might be just to keep company or something like that, but because you spend a lot of time with them, they turn into...
we got cut off again. Let me pause. Come back